Well, hello. Hello. Welcome back. I mean, I'm back. You're not back. I'm back. You're back. Maybe you are back. You got it back? You have a front. Anyways. Oh, what's going on? I just had another quick update. I know I probably did this earlier in the day when I cut everything. My days are blending together, my nights are blending together, my off days are blending together, everything is one whole day. So I did some stuff, obviously. Let's just cut to the good stuff because why wait, honestly. Oh boy! So if you didn't see the other video I did earlier today at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I get it. But I did lollipop and cut the bottom of the plant. Now, I didn't want to go so hard, but I couldn't get to the back of everything, and I had to cut stuff to get to stuff in the back. However, we still got a good little chunk right here going on, and the plants were growing really dangerously close to the lights. However, today, like right now, is when I was gonna actually cut and trim stuff. However, due to this stretching like crazy, I wanted it to stop. So a good way to do that is to chop the shit out of it, which is what I did. So this is how I would normally lollipop my plants. Like I'd go pretty hard down here and make sure all that good stuff goes to this remaining chunk of plantage. And it should be pretty cool. It was kind of a bitch trying to put this trellis in by myself, the second one, but it worked out okay and I didn't really damage anything in the process. The part where I almost did damage everything was when I kind of tried to lower it a little bit because it was a little too high. I want to make sure some of these lower ones can kind of butt up into it a little bit, so I did lower it. But that being said, it is a good nice little section. We got the underlights going now. I 3D printed some things to hold these lights in place. So that's pretty cool. I still have not put those up yet on the 3D printing app thing, because you can share your designs, all sorts of shit like that, which eventually I plan on doing because, you know, I'd like to be able to help somebody out with this. It worked for me, and it's pretty easy setup to get these light bars, these underlights pointing straight up like this. I did make them go out a little bit from the pot, not too much. I do plan on making another version that angles them, so maybe you can angle them up towards the center of the plant. But because I have it bushed out, it's fine how it is. I was thinking about having like a full square around the pot, like on all sides, like going up. Probably not such a bad idea. But another thing I kind of rediscovered because I'm an idiot is that the tent opens all the way around. However, I can't do that because of how I have it set up in my living room. Literally right behind me there is a big huge fucking metal shelving unit that's holding the water reservoir, the dehumidifier, extra cocoa, my water jugs down below. So it's holding a lot. The lessons have been learned with all of this because I could have kept a lot of that lower growth if I could have gotten around to it, and if I could have just opened this tent to its full potential and get around, like that would have been great, and I would have had so much more going down here. But due to the fact that I really could not get to the back of this plant or like kind of upwards where there was a lot of like dead stuff, and I didn't want that sitting in there or molding. I just, you know, it's like, you know what, we're gonna do this how we normally do it. That's a lot to cut off, which it was. But it does look like it's stunted the plant. The plant doesn't look like it's hurting, like it's, you know. So hopefully we should be good. There shouldn't be any hermaphroditism, or however you want to say that, going on. But hopefully just with these trellises alone, it should hold these buds up if they get super chunked out. Hopefully. You know, I can still always tie stuff up, but we'll see what happens. Really excited. I probably could have thinned all this out a little bit more, but because of how much I took at the bottom and pretty much all around the plant, like, I took some top big fat leaves off so the light could get down. But for the most part, I didn't touch too much of the top. But I did cut some pretty hefty leaves off. So we'll see what happens. We'll see like if this guy makes it up into the trellis or not. I hope so. But because of all this being cut down here, all the newts, all the good stuff is going to all these buds. So these should all be pretty spectacular. Hopefully. That's the goal anyway. That's what we're shooting for. So now I might, that one in the very back, I might have to pull that one, bend it a little bit if it keeps going up too high. Try to get it away from the light and try not to break it. But by this point, most of the stems are wood-like instead of kind of soft plant-like feel, more like a tree bark wood kind of thing going on. So a little worried about, because you can do low stress training and you can do high stress training. Now the high stress training is when you pinch it kind of and let it fall over, and it'll kind of be at this L shape, and it forms like a big fat knuckle right where it like falls over at a 90-degree angle. And you could do that earlier on in the growing cycle, and then, you know, if your canopy is not even and you want to kind of catch it up, you can do high stress training. There's all sorts of different names for it. But right now it would be very risky for me to do because that is a fat stem and I'm sure it's super solid at this point. So we'll see what goes on. You know, I'm not going to be too hardcore about it, but I am curious to see how much these underlights really boost this bud production and all that good stuff. So, and I only have these, I think, at a 6 right now. I could probably turn them up. For sure, I could probably turn them up, but we're going to wait. We're going to let these heal up a little bit. Just changed the reservoir as well today, so they got a fresh new reservoir to start the week 4 of flowering. A little more bloom boosters put in there, the PK from Athena. So that's pretty cool. So we got a little more bud booster going on in this food. And the reservoirs were pretty drunk up, because when I make the reservoir, I'll shut it off, take it apart, clean it, bring it back, hook everything back up. I keep it closed, and then I fill it up with 10 gallons of water. Then I put the balance in there, and then I give it about a half hour, 45 minutes to kind of cycle through a bunch and kind of blend and mix itself in with the water. And then after that, I start adding the nutrients. And then, you know, you got a pH, all that good stuff. And then before I open it up, I have shutoff valves. Let's see what you can see right. Well, I'm in my boxer brief, so I'm not gonna zoom down on it, but I do have shutoff valves that are right next to the pot inlet. So I could shut off the intake to these pots. So what I do is, once I get the reservoir good to go, I have a hose down here that is basically like a drainage hose, so to speak, so I can flush it. So then what I'll do is, after I close off the auto pots from the main reservoir, I'll open the line up, and then I'll open this tap, and then I will flush it for a good 30 seconds to a minute. And then I'll open it, close it, you know, make a little resistance. Maybe if there's something in there, it'll, I don't know, move it free, shake it free. But after I do that, I close up the flush valve, I open the auto pots back up, and then I open up the reservoir, or the reservoir feeds everything. So that's where we're at right now. So they are eating up some fresh nutrients. Fresh water, fresh nutrients, clean reservoir. So these things should be plumping up, hopefully. Let's hope they start turning purple, man. I want to see some colors. It's about color time. But I do like the light penetrates all the way through from the top to the bottom. And also when I turn that up, it'll definitely go all the way through. So it'll be cool to see these all the lower stuff, because there is still a bit below this first trellis. There is still a bit. There's even, let's see, I don't know if you guys can see it, but right next to where my finger is, there's just like the tiniest stem and the littlest bud site. So I'm going to keep my eye on that and see what these underlights really do for the plant. And what's crazy is I printed these things that are holding the lights up out of PETG, PETG, whatever, however you want to say it. And they're holding up with the heat fine. Of course, I do. These lights come with magnet bars. These bars, you set it on the outside of your tent, and then you can push the light up against it on the inside of the tent, and then you can hold the light where you need it to be from the outside of your tent. However, I left those bars on when I put them in my little design thing because it kind of gives it a boost away from where you're setting it in. So the aluminum body of the lights are not touching the PETG. It's just the metal bar that's connected to it does. And it connects at the very edges where the magnets are. So I don't even think that's like absorbing any of the heat from the lights. So it should be cooling off no problem. Plus in the middle there's a fan blowing upwards. So that should definitely help with the middle two lights, but the outside ones, they still feel fine. But yeah, so we got a second trellis in. Feeling good about it. I have not turned these cameras back on. I don't know how these time-lapse cameras are going, because when they are in the dark, like I made sure I turned the screens super dim so I could barely see them when these lights are kicking. So I'm not sure how good of a job it's doing catching the flowering phase, but we're just gonna let them go and we're gonna hope for the best. I do have the other videos of the time lapse growing, but we're gonna save that until I get everything together, and I'm gonna put it together as a whole movie kind of thing. But I am pretty sure that the stretching for the time being has stopped. So fuck yeah to that. Obviously as it starts budding and shit, like those buds will stack and grow and all that good stuff, so we'll see what happens. But I got a lot of main tops on the right side. That's really exciting. Yeah, you guys can see that. You can see it in the video. That's a lot of main tops. So hopefully we'll get a lot of big boys up there, and then down here, just because of how it's penetrating up there, plus the light below, the center should be pretty fucking swole too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just hope that some of these, especially like this one, I hope they at least make it up to the trellis so when they get big, they can kind of lean on it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Beggars can't be choosers. So, but yes, lessons have been learned with this grow. A lot of lessons have been learned with this grow, especially with sativas that stretch like crazy. We're gonna flower those bitches early, and if I can do another grow, I'm gonna do Blue Dream, which is sativa. So you better believe I'm gonna go well below the line when I start flowering. However, if I only do one inside of a tent at a time, it's gonna be a little bit different of a game because I can really fold that stuff down. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. Everything's looking pretty good for the most part. This plant has plenty of airflow now. So, and I like that I have a fan in the bottom that's blowing the dry air from the dehumidifier through everything. Actually, that being said, I need to turn my AI to tent work. I got that tent work because I don't want my humidifier going right now. I don't think it stopped my humidifier. Let's find out. Oh, it did. But the exhaust fan is still going. So I have the exhaust fan, which is the charcoal filter basically. It's on a sensor trigger, so it's not going to respond to the AI. So that makes sense while that's still on. But at least it turned off the dehumidifier, so that's cool. But I will say, now that I trimmed everything, the dehumidifier is kind of working like it should and hitting the levels that it probably should. Now, I don't know if that's because I also added a fan in the tent or not, but I did change that up, so that is a factor. So I have to take that also into consideration, that maybe it wasn't the defoliation and the lollipopping, maybe it was just the fan. But we'll see. A big part of me wanted to put the dehumidifier in this tent right now, like especially at this point in the grow. But how everything's looking number wise, I feel like I should probably just leave it and see what it does, especially now that the fan's in here. But I think one of the biggest problems with this setup right now that I have as far as the dehumidifier is the blower motor is not strong enough to hit that split Y and then carry it to both vents and then penetrate this little guard thing that it has in there to protect from dust and all sorts of shit and backflow. So I think if I had a mid-inline fan blowing that air into the tent, I think that the whole dehumidifier on the outside thing would actually work. But I think because of how it's set up and because of these vents that I have from AC Infinity, I'm pretty sure it's just not able to get that air in fast enough. And even with the charcoal filter pulling it out level 7, I have a 6-inch, you know, the AC Infinity combo charcoal filter thing. So even with that at a level 7 pulling the air up, you think it would pull the air in through those vents a little more too, which I'm sure it does. But it's like, I don't want the tent to be reliant or to get sucked in too hard, because there is a vacuum that happens when that charcoal filter kicks on, especially when it turns up higher, because the air coming in is not as fast or hard or strong or plentiful. Kind of balance that out. So I would like to try that out at some point. I am on that bidding app all the time, and they have those all the time. I'm trying to get one for like $2 or $3 brand new. I've been close. Last second it went up to $45. I'm like, I'm out. But if I can get one, I'm gonna get one and throw one in there, especially if I can get one for like $5. I'm gonna throw it in there for sure, because I feel like that might be the issue as far as that's concerned. On the box, this dehumidifier is supposed to take care of a 4x4 tent. So the only reason I can think it's not working is it's just not getting it in here enough, because it is clearly working. It's filling. I have it when it pulls the water out of the air, instead of emptying into the thing that it came with, I have it coming out the hose in the back, draining into like a gallon bucket. So I know it's working. And if it's supposed to do a 4x4, then the only thing I can think of is, again, it's just not getting it in here fast enough. So that's gonna be the next thing I want to try out to see if it helps or not. I believe it will, but I am still figuring all this stuff out as I go, especially all the equipment, because it all works way different than I would imagine it to work, especially this crazy ass dehumidifier. But seriously, from what I am to understand, these underlights, even though they don't seem too crazy, they really are supposed to help. So I'm about to find out. I've lollipopped billions of times. However, still a bunch of different factors. LED lights, autopots. So I'm really not going to be able to notice based on a bunch of these other awesome things that are going on. But seriously, guys, like even at this stage where I'm seeing like little hairs like this, at some point during the grow, there has been some kind of an issue I've had, one way or another. I cannot say I've had any of that with these autopots, not one time. Not one time ever. And this is my first time using them. So, and my first time using this trellis, and the first time using these bars, first time using LED lights, first time using all this shit. And it's like, I've still really had no problems. So I'm telling you, if you are new to growing, if you want to try it out, get some fucking autopots and just follow the directions. Now, when you get these, I highly advise you get some water probes that are pH and the EC readers. Very important. It will save you so much time having these things. So I highly advise that. Can't stress that enough. But it's insanely easy, man. And especially if you're only growing one, then it won't drink as much. But it's a pretty amazing thing, man. It really is. And it just makes me wonder how crazy it would be if I had that 8x8x8 tent. Realistically, I can make one plant take up that whole tent if I wanted to, but you gotta think. So you can have one plant and a billion bud sites, and that one stem has to take all those nutrients to those billions of stems. Or you can have two plants with two main stems, and now you think they're about split even, so now you got, you know, one plant going to 500,000 instead of 1 million kind of thing, you know? So I feel like with the 2 versus the 1, you're gonna get bigger, better buds, as opposed to if you just had one big one trying to do 100,000 buds on the top. Because it's all, you gotta remember, think of just like highways, man, or think of this as a two-way street, like the main stem at the bottom. Like, they have to come in and then it splits off into all those stems. And you know what it's like splitting things off. You lose a little every time you split some things. So imagine that one stem trying to feed 100,000 stems up top. It's gonna be not as good as if you had 2 plants with less stems. And I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. So I think, even though I think I'm gonna do 2 plants next time again, just because of that reason alone. But yeah, we're gonna see what this yields us eventually. I did turn the lights down a little bit. They were at a 10. I think I put them at a, yep, they're at an 8 right now. Just cause, you know, I'm a little worried. I just want to make sure. Plus, you know, I did just cut the shit out of them, so I don't want to be hitting them too hard. But they can take a lot of light power right now. Like, I can crank it in flower mode, and even though the tips might burn a little bit, they will eat it up. So I'm gonna wait till they start budding up a little thicker to do some stuff, like to turn it back up to 10. I really hope these don't start stretching again at some point. I hope this kind of stops all of it and wrecks it all, and so we'll see. I'm a little nervous, man. I'm a little bit nervous, man. So, anyways, that's about all I got right now. I just kind of wanted to update that I put another trellis on here, and that should support them big boys. Hoping that bud doesn't get all cut up in the trellis. It's totally gonna. It's alright. But this is awesome, man. Some crazy shit. And it's just like, it's in my living room. That's the craziest part. Let me see if I can't get a little zoom in on here for you guys. A little bit of a zoom in. Let me see if I can focus. Change that focus. That might be a little better, I think. But yeah, man, it's just really nice to kind of look over and then to just see those white little spikies just hanging out everywhere. Doesn't really come through too hard on the live stream, but let me tell you, man, like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty friggin' sweet. But on that note, I think it's about time. I think it's about time to end it, because I don't really got much more to say. I just kind of wanted to document the second trellis. I changed the water. The reservoir is fresh and ready to go. So, those weird waves in the background. Weird waves in the background. Great. Oh, what? Make myself lighter and brighter? Ooh, I can do that. Anyways, guys, sorry. I'm done. This is it. You guys have a wonderful day. If I need to update you again, I will jump back on here. But, we got her clipped up. We got her tied up again with a trellis. We got the newts brand new, ready to go. Should be good for another 7 days. We are entering week 4, starting Tuesday of flowering. So that's pretty fucking exciting. This should be when a lot of the magic happens, hopefully. And as far as hopefully like plant changing color, usually it'll probably be around the end of the 4th week, but I'm hoping, you know, I see something sooner than later. I'm just getting impatient and I just want to see some awesomeness. But yeah, anyways, it'd be cool though, even better, if those time-lapse cameras are working pretty good. You slowly see them changing purple. It's purple! I love it. Alright guys, have a good night. See you next time. Later!